Let's talk a little bit more today about estimating quotients. We know when we are estimating that we're finding about how many. Okay, so I don't want to know exactly how many, I want to know about how many. That's where that estimating comes in. There's a couple steps we take when we're estimating quotients, and I want to go through one example for you, and then I want us to do one or two examples together with estimating and going through the steps, okay? So just stay with me on this one, and I'm going to explain to you what we're doing. And then the next step is you are going to be doing one with me, okay? So if I look at the division equation of 132, and I'm dividing that by 3, okay? And I don't want to know the exact number. I want to know about how many because I am estimating. I'm going to look at this number 132, okay? And I'm going to look at my divisor in this case, which is 3. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start with finding all of the factors of 3. So if you have your multiplication chart handy, you can look at it while I go through our multiples of 3, because the multiples of 3 are what we're going to use to help us to estimate. Okay, multiples of 3, so 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24. I'm going to stop there at the first, what's that, the first 6, 7 multiples, 8 multiples of 3, which I think in this case will be more than enough. So I'm looking at my numbers of 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, and 24. I'm choosing multiples of 3 because I'm going to use these numbers, and I'm going to go back to my original dividend, my original number of 132, and look at this number, 132. The first two digits are 1 and a 3 for 13. So I'm going to go back to my multiples and find a number that is closest to 1 to 13. Okay, so I have 12 and I have 15. I could choose, honestly, either one. I could choose to use 12 or 15. 12 is closer than 15, so I'm going to use 12. But if you use 15, just know that your estimation is going to be a little bit high, and the using a 12 is going to be closer to the actual answer, okay? So I'm going to use 12, and I'm going to turn this 132 into 120. Because I'm estimating closest to 13, which is where I get the 12 from. But I still need to put that 0 in for that 2 to make it 120. So now I have 120 divided by 3. So now I'm ready to divide. So essentially I have 3 divided into 120, right? Now, this is where I can go back to my multiples again that I have up here, because my first number, I'm dividing 3 into my 12. 12 was a multiple of 3. So it goes into 3, 1, 2, 3, 4 times. So 12 divided by 3 is 4. Okay, so that subtracts your 12, because 12 minus 3, 12, I'm sorry, 3 minus times 4 is 12. Then I'm going to subtract that, get 0. And then I just add my 0 over here for my place value. So this tells me that 132 divided by 3 is about 40. Okay, so it's close to it, but it's not exactly 40. It's about 40. Okay, what I would like you to do now is I want you to go ahead and get a piece of paper and a pencil out, and we're going to do one together. Okay. All right, friends, you ready? Let's do one together. What if I have 1,300 and 82. Write this on your paper. And this time I am dividing it by 5. My first step is I'm going to find all my multiples of 5, or at least the first 6 or 7 of them, to see what I'm going to estimate and find a compatible number to 1,382. So let's start with finding our multiples of 5. Go ahead and check out your multiplication chart if you want. That's fine. So multiples of 5 are 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. I'm going to stop there because that's the first 6. And I have the number I need in that one. So I'm going to again look at my dividend and look at my first 2 numbers. The first 2 numbers in this are 1 and a 3 for 13. So let's go over to our multiples and look for a number that's close to 13. 5, I have 10, and I have 15. Well, the number 13 is halfway between 10 and 15. So it really doesn't matter what number I choose, but in this case, I'm going to choose the 15. So my 1,382 is going to turn into 1,500. Okay, because my number 13 is going to get estimated to 15, and I'm adding my 2 zeros for the numbers after that number. Okay, so 1,500 divided by 5. Now let's divide. 5 divided into 1,500. Another reason we look at these multiples is because we don't want to have any remainders when we're doing this, when we're estimating. There's nothing left over when you're estimating. So we want to make sure that the number we're dividing it into is a multiple of your divisor, okay? The number you're actually dividing it. So 5 goes into 15 3 times. 5 times 3 is 15. So I'm going to subtract 15. 15 minus 15 is 0. And then you see these 2 zeros I have here? I also need to add them up at the top. So I'm going to go ahead and add 2 zeros up at the top. So that becomes 300. So this tells me that 1,382 divided by 5 equals about 300. Remember, it's not an exact, but it is close. It's an about. Okay? Let's do one more together. So find the back of your paper or another clean space on your paper, and let's do one more together. I'm going to erase. Let's do 5. I'm going to set up differently this time. Divide it into 314. Even though I've set it up differently, this little half shape up top here means we're dividing. First step, find your multiples of 5. So on your paper, go ahead and list the first, I'd say 6 or 7 multiples of 5. You should have written down 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. You might have done 40 depending on how far you went with your multiples. All right, multiples of 5. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. Now we're going to look and I want to see which multiple of 5 is closest to 31, right? My numbers, I would say 30, right? So this 31 becomes a 30. And any number after that number 31 is a 0. So this 4 becomes a 0. We're going to put our division symbol up there. And I'm ready to divide. We're going to divide 5 into 30. How many times does 5 go into the number 30? 6 times. Remember, it's an even, equal number. 5 times 6 equals 30. So that means I'm going to subtract 30. 0. And any number after that is a 0. So it equals about 60. On your assignment that you're going to be working on today, this is what I want you to do. You're going to find the multiples of your divisor, okay, the number you're dividing by, and then circle or note the closest to the first 2 numbers in your dividend, okay? And then you're going to divide and you're going to tell me about how many as you're estimating, right? If you need help, please ask for help. I know you can do this and you've got this. Go ahead and close this video and start your activity.